Hey everyone, it's Eric. Today, we're going to crack open one of the most powerful problem-solving frameworks on the planet, a method that top consultants use to tackle billion-dollar problems. So let's dive right in. Okay, picture this. You're the manager of a coffee shop. Your profits are tanking. You call a panic meeting, and your team just starts shouting out ideas. One person says, "It's the coffee beans, for sure." Another yells, "We need a massive buy one, get one sale, now!" Someone else is convinced it's all because of that new convenience store down the street. It's just total chaos. Every idea is a shot in the dark.
If that coffee shop story sounds a little too familiar, well, you're definitely not alone. We've all been there, right? Staring down a huge problem, running in circles, feeling completely overwhelmed, and maybe even making things worse. It's frustrating and it happens all the time.
So where does all this chaos come from? It boils down to the single biggest mistake we make when solving problems. We leap for a solution before we even know what the real problem is. Today, we're looking at the antidote, and it comes from the book The McKinsey Way. It's basically the playbook written by veteran consultants that has guided the world's biggest companies through their toughest challenges.
So, how do we stop the chaos? How do we get off that hamster wheel? Well, the very first and honestly the most critical step is to just stop. Don't go looking for answers yet. Instead, you need to put all your energy into crafting the perfect question. Because, think about it, a bad question will always lead you to a bad answer.
So what makes a question good? Well, it has to be smart. And no, this isn't just some corporate buzzword. It's a really powerful filter. Your problem statement has to be specific, measurable, action-oriented, relevant, which means it has clear limits, and time-bound. This is the tool that takes that vague sense of panic and turns it into a concrete, solvable mission.
Let's see this in action with our coffee shop. The original problem, profit is down, is just a symptom. It's vague, it's useless for actually solving anything. But when we apply that SMART framework, look what we get. How do we raise Branch A's net profit by 15% in 3 months without sacrificing quality? See the difference? It's night and day. We now know exactly where to focus, what the target is, how much, by when, and what our guardrails are.
And listen, this isn't just for business. Think about a personal worry. Something like, "My career is stuck." That's a terrible problem statement. A smart one would sound more like, "What specific steps can I take in the next 6 months to get the skills I need for a promotion or a 20% raise?" Suddenly, you're not a victim of your circumstances anymore. You're the manager of a new project. Project You.
Okay, so you've nailed it. You have a crystal clear, SMART question. What's next? You don't just start throwing ideas at the wall. Nope. McKinsey uses a very specific set of tools to systematically break the problem down into smaller, bite-sized pieces.
And the main weapon in their arsenal is the logic tree. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a treasure map for your problem. It starts with your main question. That's the trunk of the tree. And then it branches out into smaller and smaller components. The goal is to make sure every single possibility is covered without any overlap. There's a fancy term for this, mise, but all it means is you leave no stone unturned.
Let's build one really quickly for our coffee shop. The goal is to boost net profit. Okay, the first branches are easy. Profit is just revenue minus cost. From there, revenue breaks down into price times volume. And cost breaks down into fixed costs and variable costs. You just keep going until every leaf on the tree is a specific thing you can actually investigate.
All right, so you've drawn this beautiful, complete map of your entire problem. But here's the thing. You can't dig for treasure in every single spot on the map, right? It would take forever. You have to be a smart treasure hunter. You need to make an educated guess about where the gold is most likely buried.
In the McKinsey world, that smart guess is called a hypothesis. For our coffee shop owner, a great hypothesis might be, "I believe our profit is down because the new convenience store is stealing our afternoon student customers with its super cheap coffee." Now that is a brilliant hypothesis. It's specific, it's testable, and it tells us exactly where on our logic tree we need to start digging.
And a strong hypothesis like that immediately becomes your action plan. To test it, what would you do? You'd analyze your sales data to see if afternoon traffic really has dropped. You'd go observe the competitor to check their prices and see who's buying. And you'd actually go talk to students to find out why they're making that choice. See how that works? You're turning problem solving from an art into a science.
So far, we've been focused on a business problem, right? But the real magic of this framework is that you can use it for anything. Let's see how you can apply it to the big, messy, personal challenges that we all face.
This has to be one of the biggest, most emotionally loaded questions any of us ever ask.
The anxiety around a decision like this can be paralyzing, or it can make us do something impulsive. But what happens if we apply the McKinsey method here?
Well, first you build a logic tree. You break down that vague idea of a good job into its real components. What's the income potential? What's the path for promotion? Am I going to grow my skills? What's the work-life balance like? And what about the company culture? Now you have a clear, logical scorecard to rate your current job against any new opportunities.
And here's the payoff. By structuring the decision like this, you replace all that emotion and anxiety with data and evidence. The final choice you make isn't some blind leap of faith. It's a bulletproof conclusion that you've reached through your own rigorous analysis. You can make that move with total confidence, knowing you've looked at it from every angle.
At its core, this whole thing isn't just about a one-time fix for a big problem. It's about installing a brand new operating system for your brain. It's a fundamental upgrade to how you approach, well, everything.
The full, official process has 7 steps. We've really hit the most important ones today. Define your problem, break it down, or disaggregate, then prioritize with a hypothesis, create a work plan, and analyze. The last steps are about putting it all together, synthesizing your findings, and then communicating your solution clearly.
You know, when you first start using this framework, it might feel a little clunky, a bit like learning to drive a car for the first time. You have to consciously think about every single step. But with just a little practice, it becomes second nature. It becomes a mental muscle, an instinct for bringing structure to any kind of chaos.
Ultimately, it really comes down to a choice between 2 different mindsets. There's the firefighter, who's always reactive, always emotional, rushing from one blaze to the next, just trying to put out the latest emergency. And then there's the architect. The architect is proactive. They step back, they study the blueprints, they define the real problem, and they build a solution that lasts. The firefighter is always stressed. The architect is in control.
So, I'll leave you with this question. The next time a problem pops up, big or small, are you going to reach for the fire hose, or are you going to pull out the blueprints? Which one will you choose to be?
I really hope this explainer was valuable for you. If it was, and you want to see more breakdowns like this, please take a second to like, subscribe, and maybe share it with someone you think would get a lot out of it. And hey, if there's a book you're dying for us to cover next, drop it in the comments below. Thanks so much for your time today. I'm Eric, and I'll see you in the next explainer.